What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Balanced Perception YouTube channel. And today we're back with something a bit different. We are not actually talking about props per se, but the devices that print them. That's right, the 3D printers that create these awesome cosplay devices that I make, or cosplay creations that I make. And we're going to talk about reliability and which printer I think is the best of the four that I have and which I think you should get. So without further ado, let's hop to it. So I originally started 3D printing with an Ender 3 V2, which I actually still have. I don't use it anymore, but nonetheless, I still have it, a bit of nostalgia there. Then I branched off into a CR10 V2 and a V3. And so those were my next set of printers, but I also, once again, do not use those. The four printers that I currently use are QIDI X-Max 3s, Creality K1 Maxes, Bambu P1Ps, and my new most recent addition is the Sovol SV08 Max. I believe that's what the one it is. So let's take a look at them and just discuss which ones I think are the best, starting with the lowest on the list. So in the number 4 position, we have the QIDI X-Max 3 here. This is a great printer. It's got a massive build volume. The only problem I have with this printer is it gives me a decent amount of trouble. That is inconsistency in terms of laying down the layer bed, or the first layer, inconsistencies with layer lines and a few artifacts. But I've been able to work out a few of these things over the course of owning this printer, and I do currently own, I think, 4 of them. So let's just pick up the camera here and we can take a look at the inside. And right inside of this printer here, as you guys can see, we have the extruder head. Now I will tell you, this extruder head has given me a decent amount of problems. It just doesn't always, let's just say when it gets jammed, it's kind of difficult to fix. You have to remove the front cover here, then you have to remove the back cover here, and then you pull this out. It's just kind of a pain. And then every now and then, I don't know why, but the rails will just kind of come, I don't know, unaligned is maybe the best way to say it, where for no reason you'll just get like a layer shift, print the next print, no issues whatsoever. I have no idea why this happens, but nonetheless, it does. I mostly print PETG on here. I very rarely print PLA or ABS or anything like that, but this printer is capable of doing that. Every now and again, I use carbon fiber, as I have a hardened steel nozzle that works perfectly fine for this printer. Again, very, very large printer, and I will admit that QIDI is somewhat helpful in terms of getting to resolve issues for you. I did have one printer, if you guys saw that episode, where I had issues with the MCU board. I replaced that and that fixed the problem, but it was kind of a pain. I will also say, I'm not going to take it off, but right back here, you guys can see the, hopefully that's in focus for you guys, right back here, the backside of this has a main board on it. Well, not a main board, but a board on it, and it connects to this cable right here, which is USB-C. So if you're ever getting issues with your printer, a lot of times it can be that. Just swapping that out will solve the issue. But this is number 4 on our list. Let's move on to the next one. Our number 3 printer is the Creality K1 Max. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love this printer. I very, very rarely have issues with it. We can go ahead and pop the glass top here. The QIDI I didn't mention has a top also, which I rarely put on there, but it is made out of plastic. It feels a bit cheaper than the K1 Max here, and I just do prefer the glass one, mostly for aesthetic reasons. But this printer very, very rarely gives me issues. Every now and then I get filament jams on it, but that's about the most I get. You guys can also see on this printer, I have not updated to the most recent patch version or whatever. So it's still running the, excuse me, old version, but another phenomenal printer. I use this printer a ton as well. Again, I print very large items, so it makes sense that I use very large printers. I would say in terms of reliability, this is one of my most reliable printers. I, again, very, very rarely get issues with it. I would advise this printer over our QIDI X-Max over here. Even though the QIDI can print larger items, you're going to get much more reliability out of this printer. So That's going to be our number 3 printer. I do not have a hardened steel nozzle on here, and I will just quickly mention that the only issue I really get with this printer is, like I said, clogs, but it's got this convenient little thing that you can, like, I don't know, handle, whatever you want to call it, knob right here that you can pop off, well, not pop, but adjust to kind of grip filament and ungrip filament. Pretty helpful. As you can see, I don't have anything in here right now because I'm doing a filament swap on it, but also a phenomenal printer. So that's the Creality K1 Max. Our next printer is the SV08 Max. Absolutely love this printer. As you can see, it's massive and it is printing at the moment, so I do have it on the floor. I'm eventually going to raise it up to the table over here where my CR10V, I forget that one, the 500 by 500 printer. I actually sold that one a little while ago, but that's where it used to be. We're gonna move this one up there. Phenomenal printer, no issues so far, you know, knock on wood, or metal as we say here, aluminum, but absolutely phenomenal printer. Never had any issues out of it, and I keep printing these massive Silk Song helmet pieces right here, specifically the front piece. Actually, absolutely phenomenal. Really, really love this printer. This is taking the number 2 spot on our list, as again, I haven't had a ton of time with this printer, but I do think it's phenomenal. So I would highly recommend this one. Again, no issues. I did not get the enclosed model, but this works fine for me as I print in my house, which is temperature controlled. So I just recommend this printer, love it. And so last but not least, I unfortunately hate to admit it, but this is my most reliable printer. As you can see, I need to do some cleaning of it. Down there on the bottom, we have a bit of support filament down there, but this is my most reliable printer. I never have issues with my Bambu P1Ps. They don't actually make the P1Ps, I believe, anymore. They've since done away with them and have upgraded models. But these, again, no issues whatsoever. The most I've ever had is, of course, a filament clog, which happens on all my printers. And as you can see, we have another one sitting right over here. But again, I love, love, love this printer for printing a few of my smaller items. I don't print very large items on here because, again, I hate to glue together parts and, you know, break them apart inside of slicers and cutting them. I don't really enjoy doing that, so I like to print everything as one piece if I can, because it does make the post-processing work a bit easier. But again, phenomenal, phenomenal printer. I hate to jump on the P1P or the Bambu bandwagon, but these printers are absolutely amazing. Just, I don't have anything bad to say about them whatsoever. I have yet to get an H2D. I would like to get one of those printers, but I believe they are about $2,000 at the moment, which is a bit more than I want to spend. Regardless though, eventually I will end up getting one. Maybe they'll come out with another one and I can get the older model. But phenomenal printer. It has ludicrous mode, it has sports mode, it prints extremely fast, very reliably, small layer lines, just a great overall printer. So this is taking our number 1 position, and I highly, highly recommend it. So this was a very quick and brief video on a few of the printers I have. I have, again, a multitude of the ones that I've shown you guys, but they are by far, I don't know, they've been absolutely phenomenal. I really, really like them. Again, I hate to say that Bambu was my best printer so far, with the Sovol SV08 Max being number 2. Again, the Creality K1 Max being number 3, and the QIDI X-Max 3 being number 4. The QIDI X-Max was the cheapest of the lot. Then came, I think, the P1P, then the K1 Max, and then the SV08 Max was about $1,200 when I got that one. Not sure if it still is, but it's still kind of a fairly new printer. One other thing I forgot to mention about that printer is I use very large spools with it, the 5 kilogram spools, which are great because I can just print without ever having to worry about filament swaps, because that printer's filament swap is kind of a pain, as the cord is very, very long, and I feel like you'd waste a decent amount of filament if you had to continually do swaps on that. So again, it's the only printer that I have that uses such large spools, but again, it got the number 2 spot. I love that printer. Hopefully this will clear up a few questions that you guys have been asking me. These are the printers that I use for printing all the props that you've seen on my channel. I, again, don't really have many issues outside of my QIDIs. It's a cheaper printer, very large. It doesn't come with a automatic recovery in the event of a power outage. But they're, you know, pretty decent printers if you just, you know, have a little bit of knowledge of how 3D printers work. They're not as easy to essentially plug and play or right out of the box as some of the other ones are, but with just a little bit of knowledge, they're absolutely great printers, just not as great as the other ones that I mentioned. So if you guys are looking into 3D printing any cosplay props or just anything in general, I would recommend these printers in the order that I stated them. And if you guys have any questions about them, definitely feel free to drop them in the comment sections, as I've probably dealt with an issue that you're going to have or are having for one of these printers, as I've gone through every single issue with all of these printers. Anyways though, that's going to do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a thumbs up or leave a comment, as it greatly helps the channel. And until next time, stay balanced. See you all. Bye-bye.